Finding out that I would soon be somebody's mother, it's not really any simple way to explain it. So, I'm pregnant. I am 5-6 weeks pregnant, and I cannot believe it. I found out on Sunday. Today is Friday, so I've known for a couple days, and it's unreal. I'm very excited, and I'm using this time to turn my fear and anxiety into excitement and trust. I have a great team. I have people by my side. My husband is amazing, and it's all just helping accept the blessing and just work through the process. My cycles are regular. They don't come the same day or between this day or that day every month. It's a little different every time, but I generally know when to expect it. I don't keep up with it in the calendar like I used to, but I knew for sure when I started because we had gone out of town to Houston. Well, had we not gone out of town, I would have been ballparking it, but since we did, I knew exactly what day I started my cycle. Therefore, I knew when to generally expect my next one. So there had been a day or two that had passed, and I didn't think anything of it because it's not unusual for me to not start on the same day every month. So I allowed a couple days to go by, 2 days, 3 days, no big deal at all. And I didn't have typical symptoms like a lot of people do. There were really no telltale signs. They were just like, hey, your body is changing and this is why. I didn't have any of that going on. What did happen, outside of my cycle being a couple days late, what actually happened was a tenderness in my breast that I have never felt before. It was so painful that I didn't know what to think. All I knew is something is going on in this region and it is raising my eyebrows and it's causing some concern. I remember mentioning to my mom and my aunt, I'm like, hey, so this is what's going on. My cycle's a couple days late. At what point should I start to be concerned? And they told me, oh, it's just a couple days, no big deal. It's too early to freak out. And so they asked, is this happening? Is that happening? Have your areolas gotten darker? Have you felt tired? Has there been a change in your diet? Have you lost any significant amount of weight? All these different things that are typical in the beginning of your stage of pregnancy. Well, I didn't have any of that. So that made me feel good. And then we got to day 5 and day 6 and day 7, just late from when I guess I should have started my cycle. And I remember telling my aunt, I said, my nipples are super sore. They were, let's be mature here. And she said, ooh, she said, that was my sign. That's how I knew. And I remember being in the drive-thru and losing my appetite. I was no longer hungry. They told me, give it a couple days, you know, if Thursday rolls around and you haven't started, then take a test. So anyways, at this point, I'm a week late. It's the weekend now, and it's Friday, and it's on my mind, and I mentioned it to my husband, and he always thinks I'm being extra anyway, so he didn't really pay it a lot of attention. I wasn't super concerned, but I had an inkling inkling that, uh-oh, what if, you know. So anyways, it's Saturday evening. I'm thinking about it. Sunday came. Oh, that's Sunday, November 9th, 2014. I remember being in church and I was yawning and I was yawning and I was yawning and I was yawning. And my husband asked me, "What's up with you? Why are you so tired?" And I told him I didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night. I have a lot on my mind. He's not the type to dwell on anything or wonder what if or feel this way, feel that way. And he would just like to nip it in the bud. Okay, if you think you might be pregnant, let's just take a pregnancy test. So, just because of the reality that you face when you're taking a pregnancy test, one of two things are going to come across that screen. You will know for sure, or you'll have some uncertainty and you'll have to take another one. Your life can continue and you can go about your day if nothing changes, or your life as you know it can stop in that very instance and everything can change. Everything you thought you knew, every plan you had, and every just idea of what to expect in that moment can change. Maybe so, maybe no. So we decided to get a test. We went to Walgreens after church and I was a nervous wreck because I knew that there would be no question anymore. I wouldn't have to wonder, you know, am I whatever. I would know in 3 minutes. I would have my answer right there in front of me. So we got home and there was some game that was on. He was watching TV and I was trying to get my mind right for whatever the answer or the results would be. And I'm laying on the couch, you know, he's laying down, I'm on the other couch and we're watching TV. He's like, "Did you take it yet?" And I said, no, not yet. I think I'm gonna wait a little while. I'd almost rather wait and see if I have any changes in my body before I see yes or this line and that line, whatever, come across that screen and tell me in that moment, you are pregnant. So no, I wasn't in a hurry to find out my fate. I had to prepare. I had to, in that moment, I had to chill out. I had to watch that game on TV and take deep breaths and calm my heart rate down. You know, whatever happens, it's gonna be okay. I had to feed myself this so that I wouldn't pass out at the sight of what I saw. So I go in there, I take the test. And I'm like hyperventilating at this point because it's real. It's about to go down. So I take the test and it needs 3 minutes to do its thing before it gives you the results. And I remember putting the cap back on, turning it upside down, walking out of the bathroom, turning the light off and closing the door and sitting back on the couch. And I chilled out for a second. He chilled out. We're still watching the game. A commercial comes on and he said, "So what did it say?" I said, "I don't know what it said." I said, "I haven't looked at it yet." I said, "I'm sure it's ready now, but I'm gonna need you to look at it because I'm not ready for all that." So he gets up and I'm like, wait, not yet, hold on. You know, I needed a second to prep myself because that's real. That is the real deal, Holyfield. And I didn't know if I was ready to know what it would say. So he goes and he looks at it, he opens the bathroom door, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, and my stomach is in a knot, and I get that lump in my throat, and I can't breathe, and I'm sweating, and I'm freaking out, and I'm trying to be calm, and I'm taking deep breaths, and he looks at it, and he says, "I think you should take another one." Oh boy, I think you should take another one. Either I'm pregnant or I'm not pregnant. There is no in between. And so this pack that I got had two pregnancy tests in there. So I took a second one, but I already knew. I had my answer. You look in the directions and it says that, you know, you'll have one full line. The second line may be faint, but if it's faint, you're still pregnant. So all I knew was pregnant. There was no ifs, ands, buts, uncertainties. I knew that I was pregnant in that moment, and I remember just feeling so much emotion just coming over me. I could not believe what I had seen with my own eyes and known to be true in that very moment. I've always been very, very afraid of having children. I've always wanted children, but when I tell you, the idea of childbirth has always been number 2 top fears of my ever. One of my 2 biggest fears. I remember feeling numb. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I needed to sit down, and it was crazy. Immediately, emotion overtook my body, and I began to cry. I was just in shock, and I just could not believe it. And I remember just pacing the living room floor. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't sit down, because if I did, I would stand back up. You know, it's like my body got weak, and I just couldn't believe that I just learned that I am expecting. I'm about to have a baby. And in that moment, I lost it. I cried. I cried for 2 days, y'all. I cried so hard. And it's not that I didn't want the child. It never, ever crossed my mind. You know, that was not the problem. The problem was that I am now forced to face one of my biggest fears that I've ever had in life. And in that moment, it's so real, and there's nothing that you can do about it but accept it and move on and start the journey. So I couldn't believe it. And I remember him, he was so great. He was equally as shocked as I was, but he handled it better. And he told me, he's like, "Why are you crying?" He asked me rather, "Why are you crying?" He said, "You should be happy. Are you sad? You should be happy." And I didn't have to say anything. Well, I couldn't say much. I was just emotional. And he said, "Courtney," he said, "you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you." He said, "You are stronger than you think you are." And whoo, and that right there, it's exactly what I needed to hear. And it's so crazy because it helped me just cope with it and be like, you're absolutely right. Everything's gonna be okay. It's all right. It's not the end of the world. Everything is gonna be fine. After that, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to tell. I had to tell somebody. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. And I remember texting my sisters-in-law, and I said, "Hey, you know, what are you guys doing?" You know, not obvious at all, right? But I was freaking out, and I needed someone to come over and just be there for a second. I knew I wanted to tell my mom, but I was such a wreck. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to call first, what to say how to tell them. I didn't know. So anyways, they were doing something, and I'm like, okay, now's not the right time. It's okay. Now's not the right time. So my mom was at Whole Foods, and she and my little brother were there. But they were actually sitting down, eating and doing homework and stuff like that. So I called her and I said, "Hey," no, I texted her. I said, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "At Whole Foods, doing homework." I said, "Okay." I said, "I'm gonna stop by and say, hey." At this point, I'm trying to clean myself together. I'm like, "It's gonna be okay, Courtney. What you crying for? It's gonna be all right." So anyways, I pull up, and she knew something was up because when I got there, I say, "Hey," I gave her a little side hug. I said, "I'm gonna go to the restroom really quick." Well, I also did that the night that Brian proposed to me. I was so anxious and crazy about telling her the big news that I couldn't just go and do it immediately. I had to go to the restroom, take a second look in the mirror, take a couple breaths, and go back and tell her. So she already knew in that moment. I said, "Well, I just came by to tell you congratulations." I said, "Because you're going to be a grandmother." And she was just like, "Really?" She started crying, and it was just, and of course I started crying again. Didn't take much because I was already holding it together. But she gave me a big hug. She told me she loves me. Everything is going to be okay. Why are you crying? All that good stuff. And it was crazy.
And when two people are very, very lucky, love is forever.
Oh. You didn't get your gift. Mama, get the gift. I read the card. What is, I mean, when did y'all start doing stuff for our anniversary? A pacifier. Anytime one of you get something. Y'all gonna have a baby! Shut up. No, are you serious? Yeah. Stop playing. Are you serious? Courtney, are you really serious? Courtney, look at me. Are you serious? Y'all can't play like that. It's not funny. So like, don't be telling me this ain't true.
I promise.
Y'all, this is not funny. Promise on the Bible, bro.
Promise on the Bible. No, it's no lease.
Courtney took a test.
I took 2 tests.
So my first doctor appointment was November 21st. I remember it was getting really close to Thanksgiving time. And so we went to the doctor, and we didn't really need a confirmation of pregnancy. As far as I'm concerned, I had all the confirmation I needed. But even the doctor said, you know, we don't necessarily need you to come in here and do this, do that. They said if the pregnancy test says you're pregnant, then you're pregnant. So they weighed me, they took my vitals. I met my doctor, who was awesome. And at that point, I was 6 weeks and 6 days. So almost 7 weeks pregnant when I went to my first appointment. I had my first ultrasound. And it's not the ultrasound that I expected. This ultrasound involved a strobe, and it was a transvaginal ultrasound, and the baby's obviously too small to be detected from the outside of the abdomen, so they had to go on the inside, if you know what I mean. So they did that. They did a pap smear as well. Blood work, which is something else that I wasn't too thrilled about having, but hey, it's something that just kind of comes along with the package. And I got to hear the heartbeat for the first time.
Sounds great.
It's so crazy because it was kind of reassurance that everything was going to be okay. When you hear that baby girl or baby boy, the heartbeat, I mean, it's just mind-blowing. It's unreal. It's a beautiful thing for sure. And it was very exciting. I had my husband there, I had my mother there, and I had my little sister there. And we were just stoked. It's so crazy to know that as small as the baby is at that time, I didn't realize that the heart is one of the first things to develop, which makes sense in hindsight. But it was really, really cool to hear the heartbeat, for sure. It was. Being pregnant and facing that reality is crazy. The idea that everything will change and the responsibility that I'd be taking on, we'd be taking on, and just the new little person that would enter the world, it's crazy. Overall, everyone is thrilled with the news. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. There's no small babies in the family right now on either side of the family, so everyone is pretty stoked that there will be a little person running around this next Christmas coming up, there will be a baby here a lot sooner. I'm due July 10th. But the idea of life just being different with a little angel, very exciting, and we feel very blessed, and we don't take it for granted. We got a sweet card for you guys.
One's video.
Since we didn't give you one for your anniversary.
50 years.
You gotta read it out loud.
Okay. For 50 years, you've been partners in a marriage that is beautiful and lasting. What a wonderful reason to celebrate your love and each other. Happy golden anniversary. Roses are red, violets are blue. On July 11, 2015, your great...